Today's recipe is going to be easy vegan potato latkes, and I've stripped down this recipe to just the bare minimum ingredients that you will need to make this recipe and still have a very delicious result. So latkes are great to have as an appetizer, as a snack, as a side dish, or I also like to add latkes to my salads as an extra vegetable source. They're delicious, very easy to make, and really introduce a little bit of variety to your daily or weekly meals. And one thing to note is that latkes also make a great addition to meal prepping because they're so easy to make. You can just make a big batch and they store really well. They also freeze very well. So feel free to make them and just eat them throughout the week. All right, let's get started with our recipe today. The main ingredient will be potatoes. I'm using 4 medium-sized russet potatoes to make my latkes today. You will also need cornstarch, all-purpose flour. You can also sub for any gluten-free flour as well. And the next ingredient you will need is baking soda and olive oil. That's for frying. You can also substitute for another oil if you'd like. And then lastly, you will need a little bit of salt and pepper. I have peeled and washed my potatoes here, and the next step that you'll need to do is grate your potatoes, and I'm using my basic grater here. You can also choose to use a mandolin if you have one. Here I have my potatoes nicely grated in this bowl, and what you would want to do is measure to make sure you have 2 full pack cups of grated potatoes, because that's the amount that you will need for this recipe. Next step, we'll need to take a kitchen towel, a paper towel, or a cheesecloth if you have one, and try to squeeze as much water and moisture out of your grated potatoes as possible. So what I'm doing here is I'm wrapping this up in my kitchen towel and transferring it over to my sink, and what I'm going to do is just gently squeeze it to make sure as much moisture comes out as possible. Transfer your grated potatoes back into a bowl and start adding the rest of the ingredients, which is going to be your salt and pepper, cornstarch, baking soda, and flour. Then using a rubber spatula or a spoon, make sure you mix everything very nicely. Then using about 2 tablespoons worth of mixture, start forming patties with your hands and then transfer them over to a preheated non-stick pan, preferably with olive oil, and start frying them like that. You will need to cook those patties for about 5 minutes on each side, because remember, they are raw potatoes and potatoes take a while to cook, so you'll need about 5 minutes on each side on medium heat.